And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean,
over the Caribbean,
South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings, family. Hope all is well with you guys. I know that I'm not showing the normal videos that I would normally show in the opening and all, but I just want to take a little time out to do this live here. And let me see if I can pull up the audio here. I'm going to see if I can share this audio as we get started. Matter of fact, I'll wait till after I do a couple of things here after we get into it. But I want to say Shalom Lach, Maj Paka. I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. And as you can see, the topic for tonight is Run, Nigger, Run. Put it in a book or in a song. And most of you guys already know I'm still working on the Road to Savannah. It's going to be packed with a lot of information, some stuff that's really going to get up under your skin and make you upset, which rightfully so, because when we look at the state of our community today, we really have failed the young generation, the new generation. We really failed them when it comes to understanding our heritage, understanding identity, just understanding the things that our community was subjected to. And we're going to touch on that briefly tonight. This information that I'm going to share is not new. I've shared this a few times. Haven't shared it in a while, touched on it in a while because of my discussions have been elsewhere, what I've been highlighting. But I really want to talk about this. Put it in a book. You know the old saying, if you ever want to hide something from our community, put it in a book. And I want to push a narrative, push a message, camouflage it in a song. Run, nigga, run. Now, initially, I was going to show some clips from KRS-One, not tonight, about having the discussion when he had the discussion with Mike Epps, the comedian. And I was going to upload some of that tonight to let you hear their discussion, but I'm not going to get into all of that. If you want to hear that discussion, it's in the playlist. But I'm not going to get into that thing where KRS was teaching how the word nigga, the word negas, those words were actually positive words, but perverted, which we all should know that by now. But what really got up under my skin is as I'm doing this research and putting these presentations together, and once I get part 2 done, and preferably part 3 not much longer for us to follow that one, when I really break down the pews, give you more detailed information on that. But I really want you guys to understand, man. I mean, we are really lost. It's a lot of stuff that we've been subjected to as a people. And what's sad about it is when you go back and start really pulling the layers off, and you get to see just how lost our people are. Now, this song, Run, Nigga Run, you guys probably remember this song from 12 Years Slave. The movie's about Solomon Northup, who was kidnapped, forced into slavery, dealing with the fugitive law. If you study the fugitive law, there was a law that was passed that allowed slave owners to go up north to recover, bring back their slaves. But they were also doing some additional things, that they would go up and purposely kidnap free men and women and put them and force them into slavery. Right? If you see some of the signs, just do a research. Just do your research. Just type in the Fugitive Slave Act, and you'll see some of the posters that Massachusetts and other places had to post to warn our ancestors who were free about slave catchers coming north, mercenaries, merchants, or whatever you want to call it, mercenaries rather. They would come up north and they were purposely kidnap free brothers and sisters, change their name, and force them into slavery. It was a rarity that they were found. And Solomon Northup, he's one of the very few. And I encourage you guys, go read that book. The movie, very good movie, but the book is a lot deeper. Man, when you read about what he had to endure, especially, from the very beginning, when he was kidnapped and he woke up in that room. It's more to it. And I'm not going to let the cat out the bag, but I encourage you guys, just Google the book. You could get it, you could download it for free. 12 Years a Slave. It's the testimony from Solomon Northup, his own testimony about what happened to him, how he was led astray, how he was kidnapped, how he was tricked. So 12 Years Slave is the name of the movie, but when you read the book, you'll see a lot more within that book that will really make your like my grandmother used to say, blood boil. It'll really make you feel some kind of way. So inside that movie, right? If you guys remember, there was a song there, and I can't play it because I know if I play it, they're going to, when I say there, YouTube is going to do whatever it can to block and stop this video. They've done all kinds of stuff. They've been messing with my numbers again, so I'm not going to play that, but I will touch on this here. Let me put this all the way up on the screen. Let me put this up on the screen. And I want you guys to pay attention to the words there. This is a real song. This is a real song. But what disappoints me is how this song began and was written, as you see, 1867. The slave catchers, people that would go out and hunt our brothers and sisters, the slave catchers, the slave patrols. They wrote this. They had so many different variations of this song, but they wrote this song. Now in the movie, you'll see Run Nigga Run, the Patty will get you. No, in the actual song, as you see here, it says, the patrol will catch you. And when I did a video about I want to say about a year and a half ago about the UA community, in that video, I shared a clip about Run Nigga Run. Run Nigga Run. And how this was the original Bad Boy song. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? This is the actual original Bad Boy. What you gonna do when they come for you? When the patrol come for you? But what really disappoints me is when you go back and you start really doing the research. All right. Now, can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me clear, because I think I see Cry Aloud, Spare Not say that, asking me if my sound went out. All right. You can hear me now. Okay. All right. So when I'm telling you guys, this documentary is really going to prick your heart. But when I started, when I went doing the research and seeing how far removed, how lost our people are, even during the hardest of times. I want to say good evening to Yakwaba. I want to say good evening to you. But anyway, to even see that this song being classified as a folk song. And before we go on, let me just let you hear the folk portion of when it says folk song, about our brothers and sisters actually singing this song. This song is in the Library of Congress with our people singing this. Let me just share with you how our brothers and sisters, even at this time, back at that, because I believe this particular variation of the song, you're talking about the 60s, the 50s, the 60s. All right. So let me let you hear this song. And then I'm going to see if I could pull up an older version, which is prior to. All right. I was trying to get the original one, but let me see if I can do it. Let me see. Let me share this here. Matter of fact, let me make sure my power is connected here. But let me share a little bit of it. And I want y'all to understand, family, we went through a lot and still going through a lot. But we're in an information age. And I see things are getting progressively worse because our younger generation, they have no clue, because really truly embraced this. Can we all get along? We all got over it. Why can't you? And let me pull this up here. Let me pull it up here. I should have had it all queued up, but it's one of those days, like Monica would say in one of her songs. Let me see here. Where is it at? Actually, I think I know where it is. And I want you guys to listen to a little bit. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Just going to play a little bit. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me press pause. Right now, this song became a folk song, as you see here, Afro-American blues and game song. Right, archive folk. Right, but anyway, but this is our people singing this.
Nigga flew the nigga lost his on the shoe. Run, nigga, run. Powder don't catch you, run, nigga, run. You better get away. Nigga, run. The nigga flew the nigga lost his on the shoe. Run, nigga, run. The powder don't catch you, run, nigga, run. You better get away. Nigga, run by my gate. Wake up, nigga, you slept too late. Run, nigga, run. Powder don't catch you, run, nigga, run. Better get away. Look down yonder, what I see. Great big nigga behind that tree. Run, nigga, run. Powder.
All right, I'm going to stop that. Just giving you a little idea. This song that they're singing is actually from the slave patrols, white people. As I share with you, this song was written in 18, believe it's 1867. Now, let me see if let me share another with you. Let me stop this right here. Remove that. Let me see if I can share another with you before we get into this. I got a little piece of it, but let me share with you. It's unfortunate, family. And then the reason why I'm not sharing the site that it's on, because I don't want you guys to go to there and give them any more likes or views. I don't want you guys to do that. But when I read the comment section to see some of our own brothers and sisters, I mean, the comments that was made, and it's just unbelievable. But let me share with you another. Let me share with you a recording that predates that. Let me see here. Let me go to, now this is just a screen rip of it, a screen capture. So it's not there's no levels or anything like that to it, but I still want you to hear it. Let me see here. All right, here we go.
Run, nigga, run, paddle will catch you. Run, nigga, run, you'll be too late. The nigger run, the nigger flew, the nigger tore his shirt. If you run, nigger, run.
All right, I'm gonna play it one more time. Now, this recording is from 1937, and you can hear that this is the Caucasian that's singing this song. And listen to the words one more time. Let's see here. Let me play it again. Oh, there we go.
Run, nigga, run, paddle or catch you. Run, nigga, run, you.
Now listen, he's not saying Patty, right? He's not saying Patty because it's patrol, but he said patrol. He basically, if you listen to his accent, he's actually saying patrol. Listen to it again. Here we go.
Run, nigger, run, paddle, can't you run, nigger, run, you'll be too late. The nigger run, the nigger flew, the nigger tore his shirt in two. Run, nigger, run, paddle, can't you run, nigger, run, you'll be too late.
All right, so let me stop it right there. See, this is the same song. That's right, my brother Jay High Style. Peace and blessings to you. This is the song from 12 Years a Slave, the movie. But I want you guys to understand, right? We have to, the newest generation, I mean, so insensitive to the past, to the point that just don't care. And a lot of it is because of our generation are letting them down. Our generation is letting them down. Letting them down. Letting them down. Now, let me maximize the screen again. As you see here, Run Nigga Run sheet music, 1867. Oh, some tell me that a nigger won't steal, but I've seen a nigger in my cornfield. Run, nigger, run, for the patrol will catch you. Run, nigger, run, for 'tis almost day. Family, we gotta, man, we're so lost as a people. We are so lost as a people. We're so lost as a people that just the way we see things today, it's a shame. As a matter of fact, I'm not even just going to say today. I'm not even going to just say today. As you can see, this is some of our own people even singing this song. And they labeled it a folk song. Now, let me say this to Muhammad Robinson. Let me make this clear to you, brother. If you're going to come onto this channel, be respectful and don't make any assumptions of what we're doing or what we're not doing. I'm a major advocate in fighting for reparations. What lets our community down when we have brothers like you coming into a conversation and going to automatically make the assumption as if you're the only one that's fighting for our people. I suggest you go back over and look at some of the videos, some of my teachings, and some of the things that I've done, putting my lifeline, or should I say livelihood, in jeopardy for our people. I'm talking about being in positions of upper management for companies like AT&T, telecom company, running a multi-billion dollar contract for the sake of what? Speaking this truth, having compromise. So don't come on this channel, and anyone come on this channel and throw stuff like this foolishness out like you're the only one doing something. What impressed me is if you take this argument, take it to Sinetta TV channel, take it to those guys' channels, the conscious community, because their number one argument is coming at our community for understanding who we are. Now, the video that you see with me, the Black Lives Matter message, the introduction, I did that message while still working at AT&T as a project manager in upper management. So I want to be clear with this. And family, I know some of you guys say, Pastor, you don't have to justify. See, when I see stuff like this, got brothers and sisters coming on the channels and posting in the comment section. Oh, the Most High never told us to ask for reparations. But then when I take them to the scriptures, when I take them to Exodus chapter 12, and we see that the Israelites were told, instructed by Moses to go to Pharaoh and demand reparations. They get quiet. I even had somebody say, "Oh, well, you're no Moses." I never said I was a Moses, but I'm a messenger, and I'm going to teach the truth. So you're letting everyone down, brother, or brother, based upon your name, because this is all you can. Out of the whole lesson that's going out tonight to enlighten our people, and you want to come inside the comment section and post a post like this, brother, we got bigger fish to fry. We need to be unified, coming together in unity, unifying versus finding ways to tear each other down. Anyway, let me take that off the screen. Appreciate all the everyone that's supportive of this channel. We woke now. We're not those typical channels, and I'm not a typical pastor. I teach the truth, nothing but the truth. And let me play this again for those that really don't understand. And I'm going to post a whole video so you guys can actually see. Let me share this video again. This is me at the Black Lives Matter 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. I had pastors begging me not to go out here. Pastor friends of mine began to slander my name when they found out I was going out here to speak. I was the only pastor that was there out of over 5,000 people. And I spoke the truth. I spoke identity. I did something that many of actually all the pastors pretty much in the local area did not even want to be seen there. But I used it as an opportunity to make an attempt to awaken our people. We have a couple of members in our assembly right now that's still with us, that came to our ministry because of being awakened by that message, that's 10-minute speech I gave. Here we go, and we'll get back into it.
And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China! All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese. China. Russian. Russia. Italian. Italy. German. Germany. Swedish. Sweden. Korean. Korea. Egyptian. Egypt. Nigerian. Nigeria. Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
Now, believe it or not, I had gotten death threats over making that message, giving that message. I gotten death threats. I was even listed on the most wanted list over in Israel. Had websites putting me in shining my name and putting me in a very negative light during that time. So I don't talk about it. I be about it. And guess what? The Most High has continued to bless me for speaking this truth. For speaking this truth and not allowing my job or my business, my stat, none of that to hinder me. Me being a pastor, never let that hinder me of being one that stood out and spoke the truth. If you only knew some of the stuff that I had to deal with, I still deal with a lot of stuff. So even in that march, while so many of our brothers and sisters were using it as an opportunity to point fingers at each other. Yeah, we know how crooked the leaders of Black Lives Matter is, but guess what? I took the opportunity to go out there because I knew that it was going to be uh, thousands and thousands of our people out there. And I believed that we needed some adults who are mature, some elders to be out there just in case things got crazy out there. And I was the only pastor that accepted the invitation to even go out there and march with the community. We marched for a couple of miles, about 5 miles, 5 or 6 miles, marched. I got all the footage on it. Had people running out of the church to see what's going on, but they didn't join the walk. So I'll say it again. I put my reputation on the line a number of times to protect this community. Dealing with a number of people who made every attempt to slander my reputation because they know that they cannot lay a glove on none of the stuff that I've taught and continue to teach. I can say emphatically, you got people in the conscious community that have taken some of the things that I've been teaching here, and now they're using it as their discussions. They're throwing it up like words like syncretism. Never even heard it before until I did what? Brought and introduced certain words to this community that many are not aware of. But anyway, that's enough. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to pump myself up because it's not about me. It's about the will of the Father. But like I said, you go back over and look at the track record. I've always defended and stood on the right side of defending our people. So I don't care about trying to build up a reputation for myself. That's right, Cindy Clark. It seems like all we know is just to hurt each other. But you know what? One thing I will say, you know what was out there too during the Black Lives Matter? The camp. There was a camp out there witnessing to people. The church wasn't there, but you had a camp out there witnessing to people. Outside of myself, it was a camp out there. Anyway, let's get it in, family. Let's talk about this so we can wrap this up because I got to finish getting back to the road to Savannah that I'm working on. And thank everyone for the support with the Patreon channel. I really appreciate you guys. The channel is picking up pretty quick. I just uploaded lesson number 2 with ancient Hebrew. If you guys are interested in learning ancient Hebrew, I just posted part 2 of the lesson 2 rather. I encourage you guys to go there. It's not about trying to make money or nothing like that, but to make sure that it's on a platform that is free from the arguments and the rah-rah. And what I plan on doing for everyone that's there, I plan on to start giving out tokens of appreciation. I'm getting t-shirts made up, created right now for our Patreon We Woke folks, family over there. I'm getting some cups, some mugs and everything put together so I can make sure that we personally send you a token of appreciation. All right. So I encourage you guys, if you want to learn ancient Hebrew, or should I say Paleo Hebrew, right, from a from a truth, from a real perspective based upon real sources to prove that, hey, this Hebrew that's being taught today that many are championing, or whatever, or champion, so to speak, is not the true Hebrew that Moses spoke. It's not the Hebrew even the Messiah spoke. This Hebrew that you hear today, as many of you guys already have said it, and know in your heart that you're hearing a Hebrew that's through the oppressor's language. So if you want to learn more about it, I encourage you guys to go over to the Patreon channel. Lesson number 2 is there. All right. So again, ancient Hebrew. So free from the layers of agendas and all of that attached to it. So there's a difference between ancient Hebrew and the Israeli language that many, actually most, are teaching today. You have ancient Hebrew, but then you have this Israeli language that's disguised as modern Hebrew, that's disguised as biblical Hebrew, that are being taught today. That's completely the opposite of what was taught, what our ancestors were speaking. But anyway, let's get into this, family. I don't want to hold you guys up too long because I do have to get back to some of the things that I'm working on. But again, run, nigga, run. Run, nigga, run. And if I have enough time, I'll add an additional notes here, right? So let's go ahead and highlight a few things. Let's start with this key prophecy, Deuteronomy 28, verse 49 and 50. And it's crazy to see how you have so many within the conscious community that's supposed to be deep, teaching all kinds of foolishness, of trying to come up with this narrative that the Bible, that everything within the holy text come out of Kemet. That is an absolute lie. But they run with this stuff. Show me this in the pyramid text. Show me this in the hieroglyphs. Show me this passage in the hieroglyphs. Show me. Challenge anyone. Show me. Show me these consequences. Because I can guarantee you, not a single person within the conscious community can even break down Deuteronomy 28. I'm not even going to give the full information on it, because before you know it, they'll be using that too. But I can guarantee you won't find this in any of the hieroglyphs. You will not find this in any of their writings. I'll wait. If you say you can find it, like Rakim said, if you got more, I'll wait. But don't make me wait too long, because I'm going to move on. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Now we fit this description. And it's interesting when you see eagle. It's interesting when you see eagle, bird of prey. When we know that the symbol for the United States, if it was left up to Benjamin Franklin, it would have been a turkey, because a turkey is a very smart bird, contrary to what many think and believe. He wanted the national bird of the United States to be a turkey, but they selected and voted for it to be the eagle. But it says here, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Think about what happened to our brothers and sisters. Think about what continues to happen. But a language that we could not understand. And truth be told, when we start getting into the curses, so to speak, this is not only in Deuteronomy. I can show you other passages of scriptures when we start dealing with these curses. It's more than just Deuteronomy 28. But this is the main text that many use to really, bring forth their teachings and their narratives. So again, not saying anything negative towards that, because if this is the passage, if this is the chapter that opened your eyes to prove that no other community has gone through what we have gone through, so be it. But there are other passages. So Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Not taught on the remnant. Guys, if you really understand how how much of the remnant we, the blessed to be the remnant that we are, even though it may not feel like that sometimes because of what we're dealing with. But man, we are the remnant. We are the miracle. We are that surviving portion. We are the sha'ar. We are the remnant, the surviving portion. Just in the United States alone, right? If we just deal with the United States, truth be told, if you do the history, it was actually in between 500,000 to 600,000 of our ancestors that actually made it to the United States, the colonies, right? Only out of the tens and tens of millions that was kidnapped, that was raptured, only 500,000, give or take, have made it to this part of the Americas. But you know how fast our community grew in terms of being slaves? It's because they bred us like animals. So we went from 500,000, that's right, Jay Heist, out to over anywhere from 40 to 60 million today, from 500,000 to over 60, between 40 to 60 million of us today. And many want to talk about the scriptures, the numbers. So again, right? Most of us pretty much are descendants. Matter of fact, all of us that are here in this part of the Americas, born in this part, we are descendants from people that was bred like animals. Started them at the age of 12 and 13. It was they had to. The women were required and expected to have at least 4 children by the time they're 21. Do you know, if you study the history, the women were not even allowed to be faithful to, even though they wasn't their husbands, but made to believe that they were their husbands. They had that woman laying with whomever they choose to try to what? Make a profit. Do you know that we were more valuable than all the land combined at that time? We was valued at billions of dollars, far more than what the country was actually worth. Y'all better do the history on this. Man, our women went through so much, and we're still seeing brothers that are preying on the women. The women were literally, you name it, happened to the women. You name it, happened to the women. They was exploiting them in every kind of way. Men were being exploited as well. Homosexual owners buying our brothers and using that as an opportunity to carry out their perversions on them. Look it up, family. So look at this here. It says, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation that is as swift as the eagle flieth. I'm not going to stop right here. I mean, I'm telling you, children working at the age of 4 and 5 years old. Anyway, verse 50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Did we not go through this? When you pull up and do the research and the facts on what happened to our ancestors, you got 5 and 6 year old kids carrying around bags. They had to watch other children. Man, that's why you see a lot of those children legs in a very bold, because of the things that they had to do, the weight that they had to carry. Some of us had to still deal with that handed down stronghold of within your family. How many of you had to be, as a kid, watching other kids? How many of you had to do that? I know I had to do that before a number of times. At the age of 10 years old, watching the rest of my brothers, watching the rest of my siblings, had to cook, had to do a number of different things because, hey, you know, the household didn't have that much. How many of you guys had to do that? See, that's what picture a kid at the age of 6 years old, 5, 6 years old, having to have the responsibility to go and take care of other children, to go out and work just like adults. So a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. I want to say peace and blessings to my man Moxie. Moxie, I'm gonna drop the link if you want to come on. Feel free, my brother. You know how we do, man. I know I haven't talked to you in a few weeks, man. Reached out to you. Things have been hectic, but I'll drop the link here if you ever want to come on. And you know how we do. Let me drop the link here if you want to come on. This is my brother right here, guys. I want to encourage you guys, subscribe to my brother Moxie. I mean, he's really a great content. We've been connecting for a little while. I really appreciate this, brother. I'm dropping the link right there. If you want to come on, Moxie, feel free. If you're not, I understand. All right. So I encourage you guys, subscribe to Moxie Approved. This is my brother right here. Support his channel. All right. So the scripture says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. This is our people right here, family. This is our people right here. But let me touch on a few more things. Let's go to the Tanakh and read the same passage from the Tanakh. It says, Yahweh will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, which will swoop down like the eagle, a nation whose language you do not understand. I'll say it again, a nation whose language you do not understand. See, family, when we start understanding, and this is one of the languages that I discovered on the pews down in Savannah, Georgia, when you start understanding, for example, the language called Nsibiti, that is a language, right? That was a language of symbols in West Africa that the Igbos and others wrote. It was a secret language of symbols. And you guys, you see it all around you and may not even realize that that's what it is. If you saw Coming to America, if you see a lot of these movies, right, that slave movies and those type, you'll see that they have, a pattern of squares with different symbols within it. Guess what? Those symbols mean something. When you start understanding like the non-patch quilt and those type of quilts that our grandmothers used to make and all, those symbols on there meant something. And I discovered that on the pews in Savannah, Georgia. Those pews, this secret symbol of languages allowed our ancestors to also communicate with each other. I'm not going to show any of that tonight, but our people were very literate. We just was illiterate to this English language, right? Listen here. It says, which will swoop down like the eagle, a nation whose language you do not understand. So we may not, at that time, we were illiterate to the English language. But many of our ancestors on those slave ships, coming off those slave ships, spoke multiple languages, wrote multiple languages. But the one language you do not hear anyone talking about is Nsibiti. Nsibiti was the language of symbols that many of our ancestors on those slave ships were able to use to communicate with each other. Patterns in the hair, patterns in the clothing, patterns, even on how they wrote certain things in the quilts and all of that. Those were patterns. Those are patterns. Those are symbols of languages, right? A hidden language that most have no clue about. Anyway, Verse 50, a ruthless nation that will show the old no regard and the young no mercy. We seeing this still have play out today, but if you understand the transatlantic world war, you will see how our ancestors were treated. Man, I can guarantee you most of us don't even have a clue, just the slightest inclination of how bad it was. Things have been so watered down. It's ridiculous of how it is right now. But notice what it says is a ruthless nation that will show the old no regard and the young no mercy. And even in verse 51, it shall devour the offspring of your cattle and the produce of your soil until you have been wiped out. Come on now. This has happened over and over again. And I've taught on Red Summer 1919 for a 2 to 3 year period. And when you get to Black Wall Street or the bombings of Tulsa, Oklahoma, I call it the war. I call this the Red Summer or the war against our community. Over 60 communities, right? War was declared on them. Tulsa wasn't the only community that was bombed. It was other communities that was bombed. They used military to come at our community. Why? Because many of our communities were impenetrable because you had military men came out of the military who really couldn't serve in the military as far as being on the battlefield. They worked the jobs that others, far as the white people didn't want to work, so to speak. They were the ones that was doing the cooking. They were the ones that was doing the cleaning. They were the ones that's working at the morgue. They was doing those type of jobs that no one wanted to do. But guess what? They was trained. They were skilled at firearm. They was skilled at strategy. So guess what? That was the issue, right? They had to come up with a plan to get past those snipers that was keeping these people that wanted to come in and just bring that lynching mob into our communities. They was keeping them at bay. So they had to go into their artillery and began to use bombs. If you study Tulsa and other communities, you will see that bombs were dropped out of the air. They were using military planes. They were using military guns. All right. But anyway, Revelation chapter 17, verse 14 through 16. Let's highlight this real quick, and then I'll show you a couple of clips or bullets. Again, not clips, but give you a couple of bullets from this book I'm going to highlight real quick. It says, Revelation chapter 17, verse 14 through 16. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of Lords, Adonai of Adonai, King of Kings, Malak of Malak. And they that are called, with him are called and chosen and faithful, right? And they that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful, right? It goes on to say, and he saith unto me, the waters, now pay attention to this, family. Y'all better pay attention to this. The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are the peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. The nations that you saw, the multitude of people, the tongues that you saw, this is our people right here. This is the prophecy of the transatlantic world war. The whore. Who is the whore? See, many will automatically default to the Catholic Church. No, it's Judaism. The Catholic Church is a daughter of Judaism. Christianity is the daughter of the Catholic Church. So you have the Judaism, the Catholicism is Judaism's daughter. Christianity is the grandchild of Judaism. And actually, you'll see Islam is the granddaughter of Judaism because it was birthed through the Catholics. Islam is actually a 6th century, a 5th to 6th century religion that started out as one of 360 religions, pagan religions in that region. And the goddess that they actually worshipped at that time was not Allah, it was Allat. Look it up, family. But anyway, this is the prophecy of the transatlantic world war. The transatlantic world war. It says here, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples, multitudes, nations, tongues. This is our people right here. Judaism enslaved our people, contrary to what many of you guys know. They owned most of the slave ships. They owned most of the ports. If you go back and look at some of those advertisements of selling slaves, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see a Jewish name at the bottom. Cohen is one of the main ones that you see. Cohen, that's the name of priest. But you have Jews with that name, one of the biggest traders during selling of our ancestors right inside this country. I don't even have to deal with the rest. I don't have to deal with the Caribbean. I done talked about that over and over again. So this prophecy is the prophecy of our people. This is the transatlantic world war, which has been dumbed down to saying slave trade. This is talking about our people. This is why I say, stop sitting here trying to look for World War III. World War III has already happened. You need to understand the prophecy through Israel. Israel, it's real. This is the transatlantic world war right here. Anyway, let's go back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 28 and 29. I'm going to touch on this just briefly. Yahweh shall smite thee with madness. Come on, family. We are a group of people that have been smitten with madness because we keep endorsing the delusion. We keep endorsing the delusion. We keep financing the delusion. We keep allowing the delusion to have influence over the music that we sing, the music that we play. Do you know that the Jewish community has a major influence over hip hop, over R&B? If you understand the music industry, when you start getting into artist development, guess who has their hand deeply embedded into artist development? I can tell you that firsthand. So Yahweh shall smite thee with madness. See, it's madness when we keep trying to hold on to this foolishness. It's madness when I played the song, right, of some of our own brothers and sisters singing a song that originates with the slave catchers. It's madness. Let me play it again just so that way you guys can get cut off. I'm not going to play that one, but let me play this one here. Here we go. Let me start it over.
Run, nigger, run, paddle, can't you run, nigger, run, you'll be too late. The nigger run, the nigger flew, the nigger tore his shirt in two. Run, nigger, run, paddle, can't you run, nigger, run, you'll be too late.
And I have songs of our own ancestors playing this, singing this song. And now they refer to it as a folk song. And I'm going to say this to who I thought I saw somebody here. Lynn Bernard. Let me say this to you. It's not a future prophecy. What prophecy is Revelation is referring to? It's not a future prophecy. Guess what? It was a future prophecy back when this book of Revelation was put together. See, when we start, the problem with our community, we've been taught to view prophecy from a Eurocentric perspective. We still view prophecy from in the eyes of the very people that have subjected our people to all this foolishness, to all this madness. So we're so quick to say, no, that prophecy didn't happen yet. Well, prove to me that it hasn't. I can prove to you with the numbers and everything that it's already happened. I can prove to you with how when we start understanding the transatlantic world war, when we start understanding the prophecy of the Messiah, the difference between the time of sorrow and the difference between the great tribulation, I can tell you emphatically that the transatlantic world war is part of the great tribulation. I can tell you emphatically that the scripture that I highlighted in Revelation is part of the great tribulation. This is not a future prophecy. A future prophecy of what? A future prophecy of what? We have to get to a place that we have to stop viewing prophecy from a European mindset. Because when we do that, we dumb down the things that happen to us that lines up with the prophecies. And family, I'm not trying to be hard on anyone. I just, I'm a passionate person, so I'm not disrespecting our sister, but I want to make it clear. We have to stop viewing prophecy through a Eurocentric mindset. We've been taught that the prophecy is all about the church. No, it was the church that enslaved our people. Facts. Truth be told, the word church didn't even start being used with the the Catholics until the 4th century. Facts. It was the 4th century when they even began to use the word church. But we've been taught to every time we deal with prophecy, we include the church, the very people that have oppressed us, the Judaism, the very people that have oppressed us, Islam, the very people that have oppressed us, to include them on the good side of the prophecy. No, those guys is part of that whore. They're part of the woman, right? That woman, that whore, that prophecy of that woman who have enslaved our people. Said the waters represents the bodies of our people. How many millions, tens of millions of our ancestors that done died just in the water, been tossed inside that water, eaten by sharks as the ships continue to go on about their business. Man, we I could care less about what people have to say. I stand firmly and can prove everything that has gone on with our community to line right up with the scriptures without giving the slightest inclination of that I'm trying to bend or twist and make it into something that is not. No, I can prove it emphatically. Verse 28, Yahweh shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in the darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. Right? Of course, you're going to have individuals that have been escalated. You're going to have individuals that's going to make it. But guess what? Overall, as a community, we're still suffering. Yeah, you got some people that are accomplishing great things, being the first in certain areas, whether it's the medical profession, whether it's the legal profession, whether it's the educational profession, whether it's the political profession. But overall, we as a community, we are still behind. We're digressing. We have digressed. We're 400 years behind every community in this country. 400 years, at least 400 years behind as a community. And guess what? That gap is not going to narrow down. That gap is not going to narrow down. Right? So again, let's continue. Let's get ready to wrap this up. Let's deal with a couple of things here, because this is what our people battle with. This is what our people struggle with. So I want you to make a note of cognitive dissonance. I know you guys heard this before, but we're going to highlight cognitive dissonance, and we're going to multiply it by Stockholm syndrome. And we're going to divide it, right, into what is called herd behavior, because this is our people to a T, right? This is what the scripture talks about: madness, smitten with madness, cognitive dissonance. In other words, contradictory behavior. This is just a little bit on cognitive dissonance. Notice what it says, right? If you have ever told a lie and felt uncomfortable about it because you see yourself as scrupulously honest, then you have likely experienced cognitive dissonance. It occurs when one's ideas, beliefs, or behaviors are contradictory. We are dealing with a lot of contradictory behavior as a community, like continually supporting and defending our oppressors, constantly embracing the very things that they have used against us, keep taking on this nonsense of saying that's in the past when we can go and look at what happened to our people, even in the presence. We have to dig deep, family. We're dealing with contradictory behavior. It says it occurs when one's ideas, beliefs, or behaviors are contradictory. When a person learns new information that challenges a deeply held belief, for example, or acts in a way that seems to undercut her self image, the theory of cognitive dissonance helps explain the lengths to which people sometimes go to account for thoughts, words, and behaviors that seem to clash. Aren't we seeing this happening to our brothers and sisters in the church right now that are functioning, operating under cognitive dissonance, contradictory behavior, because they keep trying to justify all the foolishness of the very theologies of the people that have enslaved us, calling themselves whatever they want to call them. I'm not going to highlight any because I don't want to sound like I'm pointing out to any particular group, because I'm not, right? But our brothers and sisters referring to themselves in all kinds of names based upon theologies that was created by the very people that had no care in the world for you and I, go to great lengths to defend these people, whether they're in the conscious community or not, because they suffering from it too. So busy focusing on trying to attack our people. You don't see them bringing, some of the, you haven't seen them yet to bring a true rabbi on their program. You haven't seen them do any of that. Now, one thing I give credit to is the young Pharaoh guy, because at least he did have a discussion with a rabbi. It seemed like he went downhill ever since then. That's a whole nother discussion. But at least he was one of the very, 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 very few to do so. But let's get back to this. All right. The theory of cognitive dissonance helps explain the lengths to which people sometimes go to account for thoughts, words, and behavior that seem to clash. By bringing action to the bringing attention to the inconsistencies in our minds, cognitive dissonance can be an opportunity for growth. But not our people ain't trying to grow from that. So we highlighted cognitive dissonance, which in a nutshell is contradictory behavior. Stockholm syndrome. You guys heard this before, but let's deal with it real quick. The psychological tendency of a hostage to bond with, identify with, or sympathize with his or her captors. This is where I say we financing the delusion. Many of our brothers and sisters are pumping and their chests and pumping, their egos up because they're able to do things in their minds on the level of the oppressor, the very people that have enslaved us. So many of our brothers and sisters are defending the very people or the system that have enslaved us and continue to enslave us. The psychological tendencies of a hostage to bond with, identify with, or sympathize with his or her captors, even the image of this Caucasian Christ. To use that is an example of cognitive dissonance, because that image of a Caucasian Christ, a white Christ, guess what? That is the image of the oppressors. See how it really twisted the minds of our people, because all the laws of man have been used to show that, gave them justification of doing what they did to our people and continue to do to our people, but then give them a religion of Christianity, force it on them, Catholicism, force it on them, because truth be told, Catholicism and Christianity is the size that they are because of what happened to our ancestors. Right? So when we look at here, right, the image of that white Messiah has been what? superimposed on, was forced on us. To now, every time we see that image of that Caucasian Christ, guess what? We see the captors, we see the slave owners, we see the system being an attack on the system if we try to rebel against that image. And they use buzz scriptures. They use buzzwords to try to text that they say, hey, we're going to use this text to purposely keep them in this delusion here. Remember, smitten with madness, grouping at the noonday, right? So do religion promote these behaviors? Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to go into this here because this will get me upset. Let me fast forward here because many will use religion, have used religion to forgive or, overlook some of the heinous things that our people were subjected to. So I'm not even going to touch on that. Let's go to the next one. So we touched on cognitive dissonance. We touched on her, Stockholm syndrome. Now let's touch on her behavior, right? What is the cause of her behavior? This is what her behavior is. Her behavior refers to the behavior of groups of individuals who act together without any planning or informed direction. Individuals often follow the group and try to fall in line. This is why you have so many got to be part of a panel, be part of a group, part of a large discussion to try to make sure that they have strength in the numbers. See, I don't need to have, a panel. I don't need to be part of a panel. I can stand on the word. That's all I need. I don't need to have a panel to hide behind, to have, to follow this herd. No, I don't need that. But this is why you see so many flocking to these panels, because they cannot teach the word without them. They cannot stand on their own too without it, and trust in their knowledge of the text and trust in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. They can't do it. So they need to be part of a group in order to push whatever narratives. So individuals often follow the group and try to fall in line with the opinion and behavior of the crowd. This human behavior leads to them being compared to the herd behavior of animals. Herd behavior is also called herd mentality. Herd behavior is also called herd mentality, or herd instinct. Is a widespread tendency of people to do or behave as the crowd do. So what is the origin of herd behavior? The term herd behavior originates from the behavior of animals in herds, groups, and flocks. The herd behavior in animals is predominantly seen when a group of animals flee from a predator, according to the biologist W.D. Hamilton, right? What's the cause? As you see here, the cause of it, individuals becoming part of a group and resort to herd behavior when they feel they cannot voice their own opinions alone. They cannot voice their opinions alone. Let me say that again. Individuals who get caught up in this herd behavior, right? Individuals become part of a group and resort to herd behavior when they feel they cannot voice their opinions alone. This is why you see these different groups coming at us, because these guys can't voice their opinions alone. They need groups. They need groups to get that confidence. They need groups. As you see here, in this way, an individual feels more secure by being part of a group, as in the case of animals moving in herds as a precaution against predators. The cause of herd behavior may have its roots in the man's social conditioning to mimic the behavior of the herd. By nature, man finds it easy to conform. Remember, the scripture says to us, right, in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, if we start at verse 1, I beseech ye, my brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that you offer yourselves a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to the Most High, which is your reasonable service. Praying is your reasonable service. Fasting is your reasonable service. Studying is your reasonable service. Loving your brothers and sisters is your reasonable service. Pressing, reasonable service. Doing all to stand is your reasonable service. So by nature, man finds it easy to conform rather than being labeled as a dissenter. Man is mentally conditioned to fall in line with the general, right? Notice what it says, with the general, in other words, generalized opinion. General, generic. This is where you get the word Catholic. They're all generalized words. So you have fall in line with the general, the generic, the universal, right? Opinion of the group, which also saves them the pain of any rejection and doubt. Right? Oh, so what's happening, Jay High Style? You said 16 in the chat. Wow. Yeah, we already know. We already know. YouTube has been doing this for a while. So I appreciated my brother, Dr. J, holding it down. I really appreciate it. So we're not even going to focus on that. But we know that the Most High is his will going to be done no matter what. Right? Appreciate you, my brother. It goes on to say the consequences. Notice the consequences of this herd behavior. Herd behavior in humans may be efficient in some ways when some amount of social cohesion can be achieved through group conformity. However, in many instances, herd behavior may have disastrous consequences when groups can go wrong and the individual tends to lose his independence. In the absence of the exchange of individual views and opinions, there is every chance for the group to commit collective blunders. And we see this playing out before our eyes. When the herd behavior is spurred by emotions, it can lead to hysterical behaviors. Didn't we see this play out a number of times against our community? Did we see this play out a number of times on against our community? And we see individuals who are spurred by emotions and it leads them to hysterical behaviors as seen in mob violence or violent group demonstrations. We've seen this. I've been subjected to this. All of us have. I'm not even going to just say me. All of us have. All of us have. See this herd behavior in full effect. Whereas though all the different groups, from atheists to Christians to conscious, all of them teaming up to do what? Come at our community. There's something special about you, Judah. There's something special about you, all of Israel. When the herd behavior is spurred by emotions, it can lead to hysterical behaviors, as seen in mob violence or violent group demonstrations. So let's deal with this real quick. Let's get to the slave patrol. Let's get to the slave patrol. Let's deal with the oath. This is the oath of a slave patrol. This is the oath that we see that the law enforcement, their oath comes from this. And they state their name, do swear that I will, as searcher for guns, swords, and other weapons among the slaves in my district, faithfully and as privately as I can, discharge the trust reposed in me as the law directs, to the best of my power. So help me God. This is 1828. This is basically the same oath that law enforcement take today, that they would go into our communities. They would basically, in a nutshell, do whatever they want to search our homes. They would disrespect us in every kind of way. These slave patrols are raping women. They were doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They were off the chain, still off the chain today. But slave patrollers oath, North Carolina, 1828. All right. Let's go back to Revelation, right? Chapter 13, verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. Now, guys, you have to understand, many will automatically default to the chip. Family, you have to understand the right hand, even those that know business, understand business. You use your right hand to what? Shake, to confirm. See, when you understand the word aman, it means to confirm. It means to trust. It means to have faith, right? It means to be consistent. But here's the kicker. It means to go to the right hand. So Israel, when they said aman, and you see Numbers, actually Deuteronomy chapter 27, and you see the curses, those are where the curses are actually listed. You'll see them say aman and confirming and agreeing with the curses of the things that they said they will not do. Don't fall into that nonsense of the conscious community trying to say, oh, look, Amen Ra. No, actually, his name is Yamana. Now, if we add the U to it, when we start dealing with the Greeks, then it's Yamanu. Right? Amen Ra is Greek. That's the Greeks. That's the Romans. Anyway, so, but again, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. When you understand this, we start dealing with, when we understand mark, right? Then we get into the Hebrew word naquad, and the Israeli pronunciation is pronounced nikud. Now we start getting into languages, right? Languages being branded. That's what it means to be branded. Now we can go back to the transatlantic World War and see that our ancestors, right? Our ancestors, right? You had kings, you had queens, you had doctors, you had lawyers, you had all these people that was rich. Many that was poor, many that was free, and those that were bound to receive the mark in their right hand and in their forehead. See, this mark of the beast is not just talking about a physical mark. We're dealing with a system of confirmation, a system of, how can I put it? Authentication, if you want to go there with it. Validation. See, it's more to it than just what's being taught. Many keep going to the chip. The chip, man, they've been talking about the chip for almost 30 years, especially if those that been in IT. Guess what? Your social security card is part of the mark. The system of validation. Your birth certificate is part of the system of validation. Right? Guess what? Our ancestors, they were branded with the fleur de lis. And they could not buy or sell during that time. We're still dealing with this today. See, we have to, again, family, we have to look at history not just from a Eurocentric perspective, because if you do, you're going to automatically read the scriptures. You're going to look at the prophecies from a Eurocentric perspective. So, and he calls all, both small, great, rich, poor, free, bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. And no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast. In other words, the reputation of the beast. That's what it means when it says name. The Hebrew word for name is sham, which means it can be a literal name, but also the reputation, the character, right? The glory, the fame of the beast, or the number of his name. And when you understand the number of his name, now we're dealing with the 666. That is the system of man. Why? Because on the sixth day of creation, that's when man was created. So when you see 666, it's not just dealing with man, it's dealing with the system of man. Think about the system of man right now that we continue to come on the short end of the stick on or in. All right. So let's go into this book here. And I encourage you guys to get this book. Let's go into this book just a little bit. Here we go. Right? That's right, Jay Highstyle. I hate to break the news to you, man. The New Orleans Saints, that fleur de lis is what they used to cut the hamstrings of our ancestors who was running away. They used that fleur de lis to branding our people. They use that fleur de lis to castrate us. They use that fleur de lis to put a slit down the middle of our noses and put our face over fire to deform our faces. They did all kinds of stuff with that fleur de lis, right? I hate to break the bad news to you. Well, actually, it's good news when you get free from when we as a people really get free and start really understanding all the stuff and these symbols where they come from. You know, because that lotus flower, Egyptian. We also go into the Babylonian portion of it as well. All right. So let's deal with this just a little bit and let's get ready to wrap this up. It is getting kind of late. All right. Slave Patrol, page 12. Again, in the revised 1688 version of this law, the burden of capturing runaways was explicitly placed on all white men, all masters, overseers, or any persons whatsoever who were required to give wandering slaves with no ticket a sound whipping. So doesn't it sound familiar? Right? Any person can pull our people aside and say, hey, let me look at your ID. Think about what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Think about those people, those cowards, those three individuals that pulled him aside saying he had to show them proof of where he lived at. See, that behavior comes from what is called the Black Codes or the Barbados slave codes, or the what's the other term we're trying to look for? Now I can't think it off the top of my head. The French pronunciation of it. Oh, I can't think of it now. But anyway, so this is what this is coming from. This is what it's coming from. It all stems from that. What we see today stems from that. Stems from what I am sharing with you. So capturing runaways was explicitly placed on all white men, all masters, all overseers, and other persons. So you didn't have to own a slave. Anyone can pull, as it says here, what they perceive to be a wandering slave with no ticket. If they pulled them aside and say, hey, show me your ticket, and they couldn't prove that they had permission to move around, they was able to beat them, detain them until the owner could retrieve them. We see this still playing out today. This still the behaviors of the law enforcement of today. Instead of saying ticket, today we call it receipts, right? Show your receipt. Show your receipt. Show the receipt. You know how everyone wants. Show me your receipts. The law now mandated that bondsmen have passes when leaving their plantations. I want to say peace and blessings to my buddy Dora L. That's my buddy right there. Appreciate you, brother. Got to reach out to you. Give me a call tomorrow. Doors of L. Give me a call tomorrow. All right. Now notice what it says here. It says the law now mandated, right? We could go into that word mandate, that bondsmen had passes when leaving their plantations. Man, we are so institutionalized, man. We've been taught to have that in the form of a hall pass. That's what we are taught at that time. You can't have this hall pass. I mean, you can't go to the bathroom if you don't go to show this hall pass. So many want to be the hall monitor, right? I never cared about being the hall monitor. But I remember when I went to school in Detroit, I remember, right? I was in the gifted and talented, and I'm not getting into all of that. And I remember I was in the classroom. The school was mostly white. I would say 90% white. So it wasn't in Detroit as far as the actual school. We had to go outside, right? But anyway, but I remember it was me and another black kid in this class. And the white teacher purposely, the boy, the black boy, my age, he had to use the bathroom. The teacher would not give him a hall pass. The teacher would not let him go to the bathroom. And you know what happened? He used the bathroom on himself. And all the white kids began to laugh at him. Well, I was taught differently. My grandmother told me that if you ever have to use the bathroom and the teacher is trying to keep you from going, go to the bathroom and she'll deal with the teacher herself. And I remember that white teacher tried to do the same treatment on me. Because see, once you urinate on yourself, you pee on yourself, man, you know that those kids from that point on started picking on him. Now, I wasn't going to let that happen to me. Well, I had to use the bathroom, so I got up, went to the bathroom because the teacher wouldn't let me go. Needless to say, I didn't get in trouble. Right? So we see this happening today. You see this happening today. That's why you have the Karens, as I see Joy highlighted. Man, you have the Karens. You have all kinds of people that's not from our community trying to pull receipts, tell us to show them the receipts. Because of what? That all stems from the slave patrols. That all stems from here. That all stems from here. Right? Let's continue on here. Let's get ready to wrap this up. This is, I believe this is on page 6. I think I put page 6. Excuse me if my number's off. I know some of the slides I had to go back and correct some of the page numbers. But notice this here. Southern whites feared their slaves and needed mastery over them. Doesn't this sound like Pharaoh? Southern whites feared their slaves and needed mastery over them. The beginnings of a formal, organized, and public slave patrol system in the antebellum South can be traced to the private, informal, and sometimes voluntary efforts of Spanish and individual colonists in the New World had to experience difficulties controlling their slaves before the rest of the white community would intervene to help restrict slave behavior. Spaniards might entice English colonists, slaves to freedom by giving bondsmen a safe haven as runaways or by encouraging them to act as fifth column forces during battle. Fugitive bondsmen, caused recurring trouble for Spanish and Portuguese. By the 1520s, runaways already posed problems for Spanish authorities and colonial Mexico. Fugitives had to be hunted down, lest they inspire others to flee. So let's continue on. Let's go to page 11 here, I believe. The historian Richard Dunn has written that overseas were expected to keep Negroes' cabins under close surveillance. Doesn't it sound like our communities? Right? Doesn't it sound like how they've been keeping dabs and, dibs on our community, watching our community, profiling our community? Overseers were expected to keep the Negro cabins under close surveillance, searching twice a month for stolen goods, clubs, and wooden swords. So they're searching the cabins of our ancestors for stolen goods. But guess what? They stole our people. Stole us. Anyway, unlike in Spanish colonies, few indications suggest that white Barbadians used former bondsmen as slave catchers and the militia. Now we're getting into the Irish criminals that was used for indentured servitude, right? In Barbados and some other places. Anyway, and notice it has here slave catchers and the militia. Right? We still see the militia today. The failure of privately paid slave catchers in 1650s may have influenced the 1661 slave code, Code Lenore. That's what I was thinking of. That's the French pronunciation of black code or slave code. It's called the Code Lenore. All right. Anyway, the first comprehensive law regulating slaves in Barbados. The new law shifted the job of slave control firmly onto the shoulders of all whites, not just overseers. Doesn't it sound like Pharaoh? Remember, the Pharaoh encouraged all, not just his soldiers. Every person was empowered to kill the men. Any person that was an Egyptian was empowered to kill the children. Anyone that was 2 years or under can take them and treat them like garbage, can murder them without any hiccups, getting in trouble. Pharaoh did this very thing, just like what we see here. all white people, not just overseas, all white people were empowered, deputized, so to speak. The preamble to the act for the better ordering of governing of Negroes reveals the motivating impulse behind the law's enactment. Slaves were a heathenish, brutish, and dangerous kind of people. That's how they felt about us. They still feel that way about us, who had to be controlled. Their propensity to wander away from their master's plantation, either to run away deliberately or to steal goods and then resell them for personal gain, had long been the bane of Barbadian planters' lives. Constables and other white Barbadians shared responsibility for apprehending runaways. There it is. It's that reoccurring thing that we see echoing. All have been empowered, right? So it says here, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. That's Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. And this is what we're going to wrap up here. Going right back to this song. I know I gave you a little bit of the information out of that book. I encourage you guys, get that book. It's more books out there, but that book has so many nuggets, and you will actually see this song and other sources and other references in that book. As you see, run, nigger, run. Oh, some tell me that a nigger won't steal, but I've seen a nigger in my cornfield. Oh, run, nigger, run, for the patrol. Patrol will catch you. Oh, run, nigger, run. For 'tis almost day. As you see here, 1867. This is not a song that was written by our people, right? This is a song written by the slave patrols, people that was in that slave patrol. So, family, I hope this helps you. I hope this helps you. I hope this gives you clarity as we wrap up. I know I went a little longer than what I had anticipated, but I just want you to understand, family, we have to stop financing the delusion. Now, I know this is going to make you guys mad, but I'm going to actually, I guess I can't play it. No, I ain't going to play it again. But this, when you see this song or hear this song, even if you watch 12 years a slave again, you see this song or hear them singing that, this is where the song comes from. That is the slave catcher song. That is what we call today or hear today, Bad Boys. This is the original song. That was a song that slave catchers sang to warn our people. And as you saw there, it was a slave overseer who was singing that to the slaves, letting them know, hey, you know what? If you try to run, the patty or the patrol will get you. Run, nigga, run. So with that being said, family, I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to play it one more time just so you guys can hear. Let me play it one more time. Let me pull it up real quick and then we'll wrap up. Let me play it one more time. All right, here we go.
Run, nigger, run, paddle, catch you, run, nigger, run, you'll be too late. The nigger run, the nigger flew, the nigger tore his shirt in two. Run, nigger, run, paddle, catch you, run, nigger, run, you'll be too late.
Thank you.